Growing up, I had quite a few challenges in my life. I faced an attempt of abuse as a child. I ended up developing depression, and I used to have anxiety attacks, spiritual attacks as well. I started attending the church when I was around 14 years old, but that stage of my life, I was very in and out all the time. And just before I started university, because of how my life was at that time, I started taking things a bit more seriously, and I was attending regularly for under a year. In my head, I was firm in my faith going forward, and everything was fine. Leaving the presence of God was not a conscious decision. It was more down to certain concessions I started making. So this was at the time that I started university. I was in a different city from my family, so I was trying to adapt to living on my own, adapting to university life, new friendships. But I would still attend until I started making decisions such as going out with my friends, missing services, and little by little, I started distancing myself more and more and growing cold to the point that I no longer remembered ever being in the presence of God. I didn't even know if I believed in God anymore. And I started living my life according to how I was feeling, according to what I was seeing other people doing. And things started getting worse because when I first came to the presence of God, I started seeing changes in me in terms of how I was feeling inside, what was going on inside of me. I was starting to fight for my own life, but slowly things started regressing again, and they didn't just stay as they were initially, they got worse. It started with the anxiety attacks going much worse than they were before. The depression, I was having a lot of spiritual attacks, sleep paralysis specifically. And in my eyes, even though I was already far from the presence of God and I was making so many wrong choices for my life, when I would compare myself to my friends, I would think, I'm not as bad as them. I'm not doing so many crazy things as they are doing. Then I would increase the intensity. So if I wasn't drinking a lot before, then I started drinking a lot. If I wasn't clubbing before and taking my studies seriously, then I stopped doing that. I started clubbing nonstop. At first, I had my auntie that she was always inviting me to come back. So then from the moment that she stopped insisting all the time, everything that was related to faith, everything that was related to God was erased from my mind. The tools that I was learning from before, I forgot about all of them. So that's what was making me feel as I was, because the understanding that through faith I was able to overcome everything was no longer there. I didn't have that understanding. I didn't know. At one stage, I remember one of my friends in university, she asked me, do you believe in God? And I actually stopped and froze for a second because I was thinking, do I believe in God? It really started becoming scary because I wasn't recognizing myself anymore. I wasn't recognizing the choices I was making. And I was getting really tired of that. I was crying on my own all the time, still pretending to be fine in front of people. But whenever I was on my own, always crumbling, completely being out of control. And there was this day that we had a party and I had a disagreement with someone that I liked at the time. And I just thought, I'm going to drink as much as I can today. And I did that to a point that I wasn't able to go back home. I was scared. I was really terrified on that day because the only thought that would come to my mind was, if I die today, I'm going to hell. Within a week after that, I was on Facebook, just scrolling, and I saw a post. And it was like a really intelligent conversation. It was about a conversation between a student and a teacher. And I was so engaged in that post that then I was curious to know, where is this from? When I went searching, I found out that it was from Bishop Macedo's blog. So I contacted that friend from university that had posted. I didn't know that she was in the church at that time, but I contacted her and I said, are you attending the church? And she said, yes. Are you going anytime soon? Yes, I'm going with you. And she was a bit surprised. I had this understanding inside of me that that was the right step for me to take. It was as if I got back to the arms of my father and he started taking care of me. I can see that God was guiding me step by step, inspiring me on what to do, the chain of prayers. And I started developing my own faith, my own relationship with God, to a point that when I heard that I needed to receive the Holy Spirit to be able to transform my life completely, that just ignited my faith. I knew what I wanted and I knew that that was my chance, so I had to give it my all. This is how it was that God, little by little, started changing everything until the day that I received the Holy Spirit. But above everything is that sense that I am being looked after. And that's something that has never left me. No matter what happens, no matter what goes through in my life, I know I can go back to him. I know I can count on him. I know that he is with me through anything. I'm no longer depressed. I don't suffer with anxiety attacks. It would be triggered whenever I had anything coming up with my studies or when I had to speak in front of people. For example, I'm a teacher now. I started this job as a teacher recently, so I speak to big groups of people. Today, I'm an assistant in the church. I get to help people that have come to the presence of God in the same state that I came. And it's a pleasure to be involved with the work of God, to help in the groups and to share the same goal that God has, which is to save the souls, to lead them to his presence.